Pesto. Okay, so at the moment we have an abundance of basil growing in our little garden that we need to use up. And the first thing that came to mind, of course, is pesto. So the pesto we'll be making today is called Pesto alla Genovese. I'm sure a lot of my Italian friends watching will have some opinions of my pronunciation, but all right, so we're gonna go out to the garden and pick some basil. Follow me.
So you can see that we don't really have a proper garden per se. What we have is about 6 months old, roughly. We moved in. We really wanted to grow a garden, and we kind of have. So you can see all it really takes is just a little bit of creativity. This was fairly cheap for us to do as well, and being able to grow a lot of good stuff. And this is our little basil plant. He's actually in a Woolies bag. If you don't have any pots, do it. It's easy and it's cheap.
Alright guys, that's our basil picked. We'll go wash this and we'll crack on with the rest of it. Okay guys, these are the ingredients we will need to make our pesto. So we have Parmigiano Reggiano. Make sure you get the OG shit, not that stuff that you get from your supermarket in a packet. This is just better. We have pepperoni cheese.
Pecorino.
Pecorino.
Yeah.
Pecorino cheese. That one.
We're nailing the Italian today.
I speak of the Italian. Okay. I like to use both just because pecorino is a little bit more milder than your Parmigiano. Just a personal preference. You can use one or the other if you want, doesn't really matter. We have 2 cloves of garlic, some coarse sea salt, pine nuts, olive oil, pepper. Our basil that we picked from the garden earlier, that's just been washed and as much excess water shaken off as possible. That is about 100 grams, by the way. Utensils, just a bowl to grate your cheese into, and a mortar and pestle to make the actual pesto. Also a grater to grate your cheese, obviously. I'm using a microplane. You can just use a regular grater if you don't have a microplane. It's all the same, really.
But the finer the better?
The finer the better, really. Yeah, it'll just be easier to incorporate it into the sauce through the mortar and pestle, definitely. I also have a knife and a chopping board just to chop the basil up a little bit, just to help it on its way to smash up in the mortar and pestle, basically. All right, let's make some fucking pesto. Okay, so I've just started to grate my cheese. You just want approximately 2 tablespoons of each, which is about that much. All right. So the first step of making your pesto is garlic. Then you want to add some of your coarse sea salt. This is used as seasoning and also an abrasive, just to help grind the garlic up. A couple of good pinches in there. And away we go. Basically, what you want to do in a mortar and pestle is it's kind of a smashing and a grinding action. You just want to get the garlic to a nice paste almost. Really doesn't take long at all. Just like that. Okay, next you want to add in your pine nuts. About 2 tablespoons. And again, just kind of crushing and dragging at the same time. And you just want to continue to do this until it forms a nice beige paste. It can be a little bit chunky. In fact, you want it a little bit chunky just for texture.
Kind of looks like peanut butter.
It does a little bit, hey?
I mean, I guess it is nut and garlic, that's all.
Alright, that's about it. So you got that nice beige color. You can see it's fairly fine, but there's still some texture in there, a couple of chunks in there. Okay, the next thing we want to do is just add your basil handful by handful to slowly incorporate it. Like I said before, I like to just roughly chop my basil. Just makes it a little bit easier to start to crush in the mortar and pestle.
So what did you do before you started chopping them? Because herbs are quite annoying, especially when you're not good with a knife.
What do you mean?
Well, you taught me something when you're chopping herbs that makes things easier.
So you basically just, when you chop your herbs, you want to just bunch them together, kind of like this, almost roll them up, and then just rough chop through them like that.
Yeah.
It's just one of those chefy techniques of chopping herbs.
It smells so good.
So again, just kind of smashing up against the side of the mortar.
It's kind of like a smush and drag.
It's more of a, yeah, basically you're kind of pounding at the bottom and then also dragging along the walls of the mortar, and also grinding at the same time. All right, we can add a little bit more. And basically just continue to do this until all of your basil has been incorporated. Alright guys, so this is where you want your pesto to be at once you've incorporated your basil. As you can see, it's nice and smashed up. Now our next stage is to add our cheese. Wash that all in there. All right, now we just keep on grinding. So the word pesto is actually derived from a Genovese word that means to smash or to crush. It's also where we get the English word pestle from. Cool little fact.
Oh, like mortar and pestle.
Mortar and pestle, exactly.
Yeah.
You use it to smash and to grind. Alright, so once your cheese is incorporated, you want to start adding your olive oil. About 1/4 cup's worth. Just little bit by little bit, because you want a bit of a emulsification to start to happen. And it should start to form this beautiful green, almost creamy sauce. A little bit more. I wish you guys could smell this. The smell is just amazing. The fresh basil, garlic, pine nuts, olive oil. Bellissimo.
Do you reckon it's better to do it in a mortar and pestle or in a blender? Like, we don't have a blender, so obviously we're doing it like this, but if you do?
Like most things, curry pastes, things like that, it's usually better to do it in a mortar and pestle. But obviously it takes a lot more work. So if you have a blender, you can use a blender and achieve a very similar result. But personally, I think things just come out a little bit better in a mortar and pestle.
Yeah, I should say I've tried to do this before and you're making it look much easier than when I did.
And also it's a good workout, you know? And I mean, a mortar and pestle, it's just a great thing to have in the house. You can use it for so many things. You can use it to grind spices, make dips, pastes, you know. It's so versatile. And you can pick one up from your Asian grocer for next to nothing. I think this one cost us like $20, you know.
And we got a couple in Melbourne from like op shops, I think, for a steal.
Exactly. If you can, or like as always, recycle, you know, go to your op shops, things like that. As you can see, the olive oil is starting to emulsify. We're starting to get beautiful, bright green sauce.
So emulsify is kind of like to blend and combine, right?
An emulsification is basically when you're incorporating oil into something and combining it, exactly. So for instance, when you make a mayonnaise, the base of a mayonnaise is emulsifying oil into egg yolk. Alright guys, that's our pesto.
You.
Done. Okay guys, now we've finished smashing up our pesto. Just want to taste it for seasoning. Delicious. Add a little bit of pepper. This is a personal preference, you don't need to do this. And also I like to add just a little bit of lemon juice. Again, just a personal preference. I like a little bit of acidity in there. Just balances it out a little bit. Just like that. All right. And that is ready to go. So you could eat it straight away like this. You could have it on some breads. It's delicious on eggs, in a wrap, you know, whatever you want really. Or your other option is to store it in some kind of airtight container, which is what we will be doing. And then you just want to cover it with olive oil, just enough to kind of cover it, and then you can keep this in your refrigerator for up to a week. The reason why I'm doing this now is because tomorrow I want to do a video of how to make pasta from scratch, and I will be using this pesto alla Genovese as the sauce. Again, nailing the Italian.
I think we're a bit ambitious on the size of the jar there.
A little bit. But hey, sometimes you just got to work with what you have, you know?
And it's definitely a good idea to like have jars at home, I think. One of my friends, Jai, kind of mentioned once that she thinks people have too much Tupperware, and that people should save their jars, and she's not wrong. Like, since she said that, I've made a point of not throwing any out, just keeping them, and we've got like a heap around. Anytime you buy mustard, mayonnaise, sauces, anything really. And, you know, Tupperware always goes missing, but so far the jars haven't.
Definitely, guys. Recycle as much as possible. We need to look after our Mother Earth. So that's it, guys. Pesto alla Genovese. Get back to you tomorrow with our pasta making course. And yeah, that's it.